What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Draft Report. In today's video, we'll be discussing Ohio State receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. and just how elite he is as a prospect. So let's get into it. The first thing to understand about Harrison is his frame. The biggest thing with him is he's 6'4", 205, and that puts him in the 90th percentile for height and the 60th for weight. And this, unlike most receivers that are this size, Harrison is a great separator. Most guys who are as big as him are just deep threats or kind of bigger body guys that have to make contested catches all the time. But he is a great separator, and that's probably his biggest strength. So this play here, he's lined up in the slot against Kalen King for Penn State, and Harrison is just going to do a simple slant. But on this lane, he creates so much separation by how well he sells this route. If we look back at it, here he is in the slot. He takes a nice little release, and he sells this thing so far outside. You see that little extra step. He gets King. You can see King takes one little false step thinking it's an outside route, and then boom, he just can explode upfield, and that's a good, 5 yards of separation at the catch, a little behind him so he can't run through it. But just a great separation here. We'll watch it one more time in full speed. Just that little false step and King is lost. So this play is another great example of just how good of a separator Harrison is. So here he's lined up as the middle receiver in a trip set to the left. So watch in full speed real quick. He has Kalen King on him again. He sells this great and then just gets into that in route in a great catch outside of his frame. So we watch it in slow-mo here. He outside release and then breaks that in. So he already has that advantage on King. King has to turn all the way around. And then Harrison, while King is trying to recover, which King does a good job of, he sells this. Look at that. His chest moves upfield, selling it outside again. So King takes a little false step, and then he flips those hips and breaks it in at the last second. And then King is 3 yards behind him. And then McCord doesn't put it on him great, so Harrison has to go up and get it outside of his frame, which is probably maybe his biggest strength is just his body control and his catch radius. The combination of those two make him such an elite player over the middle of the field. Just how well he can catch when balls aren't there, which there are a lot of those this year with McCord. So we can see it from this angle a little better. Look at how far up that is. He's able to just high point it and use that catch radius to go up and get it. Takes a little contact, doesn't matter for Harrison. While Harrison is a pretty skinny receiver, he does a great job using his extra length that he has on corners to really be a physical guy, even though he's pretty lean as a receiver. So here you're going to see he's out loaned to the left with Kalen King and off coverage again, and Penn State, it looks like they're showing blitz. So McCord is probably going to throw to him pretty quick here, and Harrison just runs a little in route, and King totally holds him, but Harrison is still able to make the catch because although he doesn't really, beat him with separation here, he's able to just use that length and physicality to box him out and then go get that football. King holds on for dear life and can't do anything because Harrison knows how to use his body so well, just box him out and not let King get contact on that ball. This is an amazing catch, and he does this routinely over the middle of the field and on the boundary, just making him a quarterback's best friend because he'll catch everything with how good he controls his body. While Harrison is great separating over the middle of the field and being a short yardage guy, he also can break off a big play. And as you see here, Penn State's trying to press him as a lone boundary receiver on the right side, and that's not really going to work for Penn State. That is not an effective way to guard Harrison. As you can see here, just a straight go route, and looks pretty normal, but when we break this play down, it just shows how amazing Harrison is at everything in the game. So the first thing is his release. He does a great job getting this outside. You see King tries to punch him in this press, and he just swipes those hands away, so he has that extra step already on King. And then as this route is developing, he's going to push this he's going to stack and push this towards the numbers, giving Stroud more room to throw this ball. A lot of guys would get pushed towards the boundary by King, who's a pretty physical corner, but Harrison's length gives him so much advantage he can just easily stack, get towards the numbers, and then give Stroud so much more room to throw this football. Even though Stroud puts a little behind him, he's able to track this ball and just a little over-the-shoulder catch, flip those hips, and make the easy catch. Makes this look a lot easier than it is because when you're running full speed and the ball's behind you, that's a very hard ball to track, but you can see he's able to just play like center field there, go and get it, Not able to stay upright and take this to the house, but still just a great play. Watch it one more time. Shows the release package, the speed, the ability to stack, and then the body control at the catch point. Um, he is not just an underneath separator, he can be an elite deep threat as well. This plays another great example of Harrison being a great threat downfield as well. So here he's outside again as the only boundary receiver on the right. And of course, Kalen King is on him again, who he's continuously torched. But King this time, Harrison's a little late to react. Something goes on with the snap, so he's not able to get his release package. And King is just going to totally bully him off the line. But many guys, this would completely throw off their route. You see how much he gets thrown off. But Harrison, not phased by that, uses his physicality to still just stay in the play, and that just pushes him upfield, and he's still able to gain a good couple yards of separation, even with getting shoved like this. So he gets beat off the line, good press by King, but he just takes this upfield, and then Stroud puts this right on his back shoulder because Harrison, the safety's coming over. So Harrison sees this and is able to just control his body and then shove King's arms out of the way and then go over that back shoulder to get it. Just an elite, another great example of his body control and just how great it is. Um, I mean, it's amazing to watch uh, how good he is at just controlling his body for these contested catches. And this also shows his physicality. He can get pressed off the line, but it still doesn't really matter because he's just that big. So I've shown you all the positives in Harrison's game so far. So let's talk about the negatives and if there are any in Harrison's game. The only true negatives he has are that he has a little bit of a concentration drop problem, and he's maybe not elite with the ball in his hands or have elite like 4.2 speed. But none of these things are really going to keep him from being a top tier receiver. So here's an example of just a drop. Um, we can break down the route as well. It's a great route, and then the ball's just a little bit off, but hits him in the hands. You got to bring this one in. We can see it from this angle here, a little outside of his frame, but hits you in both hands. You got to catch that. And he had this, I think he had 6 drops this year or something like that, which isn't terrible, but if you're picking a guy as high as he's going to go, you'd like to rely on him to have pretty safe hands. And I think he does. He just, has some concentration problems, but again, a great route, great inside release, snaps it back, gets King rolling back, but then the drop. Um, but yeah, this is just probably the biggest weakness right now is just some concentration drops, but I think he'll get it figured out because you see how amazing his hands and body control are down the field. So it's just when he's wide open, he struggles to just get those easy ones. This play here is another good example of just slight weakness in his game, which is his lack of elite speed and his lack of yards after catch ability when the ball's in his hands. So as you see here, Penn State's just going to run a little zone. He runs a little underneath route, and at the catch, he's able to break away from a linebacker, but then here isn't able to break away from that tackle, which is fine. But there's some guys in the NFL like Jamar Chase or something that could take this to the house. But he just doesn't have much broken tackle ability when the ball's in his hands. But this also shows that I think he does have elite speed. He's a long strider, so it doesn't look as elite, but you can tell he's eating up pretty good space, and I still think he'll run in the 4.3s, maybe 4.4, but he'll still be in that top echelon of speed in the NFL. But he's not Tyreek Hill out there. But here, just you can see the long strides here. Look at how much ground he makes up on this linebacker and just the yards he eats. He definitely is moving very quick, but again, just can't get past this safety here. I'd like to see him have a little juke or truck through him or something, but just doesn't have that really in his game. And I think it's because of how small he is or how thin he is. He just doesn't have that contact balance to really be a Debo Samuel type after the catch player. But outside of that, he is truly special as a receiver. So this is the last play I want to show of Harrison. This is another great contested catch downfield and just shows his body control and release package and everything again. So here he's lined up again in press coverage as the only receiver on the right side. And this time the corner's not going to try to press him as much as Kalen King did in the last game. So this causes Harrison to not have as much separation going up the sideline. He kind of gets forced a little outside. He's on the hashes here, but you can see as he's running upfield, he's able to stack this inside. He's getting progressively closer towards those numbers, giving McCord a little bit more room to throw. And McCord puts this on him, doesn't throw it back shoulder like the last throw. This one he's going to hang out in front of him and allow Harrison to go up and get this ball. So we can watch it in full speed here. Doesn't create a ton of separation, but those long strides, gains about a half step of separation, and then makes this elite catch through contact with PI. I mean, you see the flag get thrown here, that's PI. Um, and you can see if we slow it down, he's jumping, he high points this perfectly. He knows when to jump at the exact right time. He's getting this at its apex, and through the contact, through everything, he's able to just control his body, manipulate the corner how he wants, and go up and get this ball through contact. And almost like the corner's not there, even though he gets PI, gets that back in bounds. This is a catch in the NFL and in college. Just an amazing rep from Harrison to go up and get this ball through the contact and everything that was there. And this how special he is as a deep threat and separating underneath. So that's going to wrap up the breakdown portion of this video, but I wanted to just give my final thoughts on Harrison and show you guys some highlights I saw in the games I watched. But yeah, so overall Harrison is the greatest prospect I have ever scouted. I haven't been doing it that long, only 2-3 years, but he's the most dominant prospect I've ever seen. His combination of size and speed and fluidity through routes, and just his nuance of the route tree and how to manipulate leverage and everything. He's just a totally complete player, and I have him as 7.65 out of 8 on my scale, and that puts him in between a perfect prospect and a perennial All-Pro. And no one else is even in that tier below, which is perennial All-Pro in this draft class. That's how good Harrison is, and I predict him to win Offensive Player of the Years in the future and be a multi-time All-Pro. As far as comparisons, I kind of like Julio Jones and AJ Green, just because they kind of have the size and also the like catchability and route running, but he's a more refined route runner than both of those two. He's not the freak of nature that Julio was at 6'4", 230 with that speed, but he is just as good of a player and a more refined route runner, as I said. So kind of like AJ Green, Julio, but he could easily be better than both of those two. I have no problem saying that. But yeah, he's an elite combo of underneath ability, being able to get open on every route in the tree, and the nuance that he has in those routes, and just how quick he is coming off the line and getting out of those breaks. And he also is just so great at the catch point, being able to catch through contact, and just uses physicality well to um, catch everything downfield or underneath. Again, the big weakness is just some concentration drops, and his speed isn't elite, and he after the catch he doesn't provide much, but really that doesn't knock him too much, and he's as close to a perfect prospect as I've ever seen, and a clear number one in this class. So thank you guys for watching, and if you want more content like this, I'll link my write-ups in the description, and please let me know in the comments any other players you want me to watch. But yeah, that's all.